What's going on to my hobby friends and family out there? It is another day. It is another sports card video. A little bit more of a serious topic today, but I think one that is worthwhile taking another look at. We are at 1 year going back where I made a video of my sports card addiction. It was actually my most watched video of 2023. Overall, the response back was overwhelmingly supportive. There were some people that didn't like it for one reason or another, and I'll kind of talk through that a little bit, but I think that it was an important video to make, and I think it's an important topic, especially too, as we move into the new year. Everyone's making resolutions. Everyone's trying to figure out, how do I better myself as we get into another year? If you can believe it, 2024 is upon us. And so let me just kind of go back in time a little bit here. So if I'm going back a year leading into 2023. The whole idea of my original video was to kind of put on display I think the best way to put it would be a shopping addiction. Now, in my regular life, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a big shopper. I've got 5-year-old t-shirts and, I've got a lot of the same stuff. I'm not really someone that gets online and does a lot of online shopping outside of collectibles. When it comes to hobby and when it comes to collectibles, I would say that I do a fair amount of online shopping. And when you use the word addiction, I think a lot of people go directly to substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or it might be drugs or painkillers or something, or maybe it's gambling. That's a common way of looking at it. And which makes sense. There's a lot of issues, especially in our hobby. And we've seen, there is a gambling element to our hobby. And so I didn't want to downplay that sort of addiction. But the truth is that shopping addiction can have a lot of the same effects as far as ruining your life as some of those other things that were just addressed. A lot of relationships, marriages, why do they fall apart? They fall apart due to financial issues. Whether it's me or my spouse, we're looking to each other to have financial transparency, to be able to help each other, to build each other up. We're both adding to the equation. And so if there is a lack of transparency there or lack of disclosure, it can cause problems. And for me, going back a year, that lack of disclosure, and I'm not saying I was completely hiding every package that came through the door. It wasn't like that, but I wasn't fully disclosing, what I was spending. And it was a lot of my personal income that was being spent on cards, collectibles, and so forth. And so that lack of transparency, it starts to let doubt creep in, and it caused a short-term strain in our relationship, I would say. And it immediately caused for me to figure out, okay, how am I going to remedy this situation? And we kind of, put our heads together to figure out, how can I, still hobby the way that I want to? I really enjoy, buying new collectibles, as everyone watching does. But it's trying to figure out, how can I do this in a way that kind of makes everybody happy, and it's just more overall responsible? Because I've got 4 kids, I've got a wife, I've got a family, I've got extended family, that are counting on me. I've got responsibilities, I've got college to pay for. And I will say, even going back then, I wasn't using, mortgage dollars to buy cards. This was definitely discretionary income, but as you'll find, if you have a family, and I know a lot of you all do, you know exactly that, your discretionary income can very easily go to other places that are not cards. There's plenty of other things that your family needs or wants to where that income can go. And so we made a shift in 2023 to where all of my personal income was accounted for. So I was already paying bills, etc., but then I was putting it in other places. It was already essentially gone. So there wasn't an opportunity for me to be able to say, oh, I've paid the bills and now I've got X amount of dollars. We kind of moved it around to where it automatically kind of just goes in other places. And it made it easier for me, because then it's like, there's not really much temptation if it's not there. And so it then made me go to, okay, if I'm going to buy a new card or collectible, I've got to sell something. It really made me look hard at my collection overall as to, okay, what's the stuff that I really, really, really like? And what's the stuff that I've picked up over time that, I like it, but I don't necessarily love it. Or, there's these new things that I really like, that I'm into. Do I like the new thing better than the old thing? And it caused me to really take inventory of my collection to figure out, okay, let's get serious here. And let's use some of the existing stuff that maybe is just okay. And even if we're taking a loss on some of those things, to move into other things, that's okay. And so took inventory and was able to move out of a lot of cards in 2023. Today's video sponsors a company that really helped me do a lot of this. We're probably looking at, in the few hundred cards at DC Sports 87. And so I do sell some on eBay, but if I just want to run something at auction and just don't want to deal with the hassle of packaging everything, because it's time consuming. It takes a ton of time and effort tracking it, listing, all the stuff. So I would send it up to DC Sports 87 and they've handled a lot of this for me, just kind of automated that. I pushed a lot of that work off to them and they've helped me out. So if you're in a similar boat, DC Sports 87 is great, for selling on eBay, kind of taking a lot of the work off your hands. So definitely check out DC Sports 87. And so it was all about kind of moving out of old inventory and moving into what I'm really focused on, which is Tom Brady cards, Drew Brees, huge New Orleans Saints fan, Drew Brees, my PC guy. So moving into those guys. And then also I really enjoy Stranger Things cards. And I also buy key comic books, action figures, and graded video games. So I've got kind of a swath of things that I'm interested in. And a big part of my issue, and I think a lot of people can understand this too, is it feels like there's just deals everywhere now because card prices, collectibles as a whole, they've come down to where, there's a lot of stuff in 2021, even heading into 2022, where you're like, man, I love it, but I don't love it at that price. Well, now we are seeing stuff that, you might have loved and you're like, oh my gosh, that thing was $1,000 and now it's $200. And there's a lot of that out there. And I think that's my biggest struggle is that there's a lot of things coming down in price. I want to capture it at a lower price point. And I know a lot of people will say like, oh, prices will continue to go down. We don't know that. I mean, we assume that some things have room to go down, but a lot of stuff I'm looking at, I'm assessing that. I'm looking at it as like, okay, this price point that I'm paying, do I really think it's going to go down much more? And frankly, if it does go down more, I'll just keep buying multiple copies of it because I think it's too cheap in quotation marks. And so really all of my buys in 2023 have been moving out of inventory, selling stuff that I don't necessarily want to sell, but stuff that I'm okay with it. Now I'm left with, I would say most of the stuff that I have now is stuff that I really don't want to move off of. So now it's really tough decisions. If I'm going to move out of cards to get into new cards, there was a lot of inventory where I was just okay on it. So it made it kind of easy, I would say, for a lot of 2023. But now as I move into 2024, it's very limited. We've kind of gone through that inventory and now it's like, man, it's going to be a little painful, to move out of something. So if I'm going to move into something new, I really need to like that thing. That needs to be a gold card. It needs to be some card that I've really been trying to get into, and I need to move out of some cards to get into that particular item. And then I have the good fortune, thanks to you all, over time I've built a channel to where it does generate revenue, it does generate income for me through YouTube revenue, through affiliate money, affiliate dollars. When you all use affiliate links, I get a little piece of the pie there. And then I've got channel sponsorships that are allowing me to have hobby income to be able to get into new purchases. So I'm extremely fortunate there. And again, that's thanks to you all watching me goof around on here and for sticking around. And I appreciate that so much. So thank you so much to you all for sticking with me over the years. We're coming up, if you can believe it, it's 4 years in March since I started YouTubing as the pandemic was starting. Can you believe that 4 years ago was really when we were starting the pandemic? It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it actually has been that long. And again, too, as I kind of round out 2023 and get into 2024, I'm also trying to do just a better job of enjoying the things that I already have. There's so much fun in the accumulation. There's so much fun in stacking, and kind of getting those new things, the mail days. And I know for you all, it's a very similar, type feeling. But at the same time, it's like, man, I probably need to spend more time just looking through what I've already got and enjoying that, because I have built a great collection that I love and I'm happy with. And it's just, man, I need to kind of take the time to enjoy it a little bit more. So that's a personal goal for me in 2024 is, hey, stop and smell the roses a little bit. It doesn't always have to be about the next thing. It doesn't always have to be about that next pickup or whatever. I know for many of us, there's already a lot of great things, and so enjoying some of those wins over time. And of course, got goals and you got other things that you're looking to, level up on, and I'm there with you. But man, there's a lot to be thankful for as we head into this new year. All right, guys, thank you very much again for your support and for watching. I hope that, for some of those that are going through similar things, that that you can relate. I think a lot of us, we have very supportive spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends, and we don't want to take them for granted. We have such a great hobby. I think that's the tricky part here is collectibles and sports cards. There's so much cool and amazing and fun things, and trying to kind of temper that excitement, it's very, very difficult. So shout out to not just viewers, but also the spouses, the boyfriends, the girlfriends of the viewers that are nerding with us or allowing us to nerd out on this stuff. We appreciate you all. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.